Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Mandalapreneur podcast. I am extremely excited and honored to be joined today for this episode by none other than Demi Davidson from Loveanddots. And I want to give a little preface to this episode because this interview was not originally recorded for the sake of the MMM podcast. It was actually recorded because I have been playing around with the idea of publishing a public podcast where I can talk about some of the things that we talk about here, where I can tell more of my own story, just where I can further connect with people from the community and with my audience in general. And so I started moving forward with plans to publish that podcast. And I have this habit of just getting an idea and then getting really excited and going all in with it right away. And then as I sit on it a little bit more, there's like okay, Lauren, like just breathe for a second, take a step back, because I have a tendency of adding so many things to my plate and kind of burning myself out a little bit because I love the process of being creative. I love putting new things out there. I think a podcast would really serve the community and be something that could really just, I don't know, add a lot of value. And that was what I was wanting to create. And there's a good chance that that podcast still happens. I'm just like sitting on it. I'm letting it breathe a little bit because I want to have this conversation. I want it to be out there. I just don't want to add things to my plate that then start to add to my overwhelm, because that's something that from a mindset perspective, I deal with more than anything, I would say, is overwhelm. I put too many things on my plate, or there's a lot of things that feel up in the air for me, or, you know, a million things on my to-do list. And I'm pretty good at I don't really procrastinate all that much. I don't get in my own way too much. But if I am overwhelmed, it just shifts everything for me. I get just stressed out and irritable, and I lose a lot of the joy in just the day-to-day of working on my business and, you know, operating in my life in general. And so that's something that I'm always working on. And yeah, one of the ways that I can do that is to just not bite off more than I can chew all the time. So for right now, I'm sitting on this episode and another that I did with Tara from Deserted Bliss that I'm also going to be adding to the Mandalapreneur podcast. But this was such a beautiful conversation with Demi that I feel like it needs to be out there in some regard. And I'm excited to be sharing it with you guys inside of the Mandala membership. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the name myself, and it's my membership, the Mandala Mastery membership. So in this episode with Demi, it was such a great conversation, and I really feel like it's going to resonate with people. Demi was someone that I think, like so many others, I looked up to straight away when I first got into mandalas, and obviously still now as well. And hearing about her mindset and her journey and the sort of energetic platform, or no, that's not the right word, foundation, the energetic foundation that she has built her business on, especially as someone that didn't come from necessarily like an extensive business background, and specifically an art background. And we talk about that in the episode. I just think it was so relatable, and it also really aligned with everything that I believe to be true about business after years and years of being a business coach. And Demi just exudes, the energy of success and the energy of abundance in business so beautifully and kind of so effortlessly that I really think this is a conversation that needs to be heard. So this is actually a video interview that I did. So you can listen to this on the app like a podcast if you like, or you can actually watch it, of course, either in the a browser version of the membership or on your app, whatever suits you guys. So without further ado, here is my interview with Demi Davidson from Loveanddots. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to welcome Demi from Loveanddots to the podcast. Welcome, Demi.
Oh, hi. I'm so happy to be here.
Me too. It feels really exciting for me to have you as one of the earlier guests for a whole bunch of reasons that we will get into. But just in case, I can't imagine anyone listening to this doesn't know who you are. But just in case they don't, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, so I'm Demi Davidson. I am the creator of Thoughtful Dots. Actually, it's funny. My name when I first started, I don't know if you know this, Lauren, because I think you
I
came
think I
in a
know what
little
you're going to
bit.
say.
Yeah, my name used to be Thoughtful Rocks,
Yeah.
which is just funny. I used to just paint on rocks when I first started, and then eventually I started painting on other things. So I kind of ditched the name, wanted something more broad, so I went for Thoughtful Dots. And yeah, I'm just a mandala artist. I'm also now a teacher. I have some products. I do retreats, just all the good things.
Yeah. And I mean, we can really, dive into this as we go, and I'm sure that we will. But when I first started um, Mandalas, I was really needing a transition at the time in terms of my work and my business. And I found this art form, and it was like, I just feel like this is like what I am meant to do. But I really struggled to find people until I found your account that were making this their full-time income. And so for me, and I'm sure many, many others, you were really like a catalyst and like a way maker that made it, I mean, I've been in the online space for a long time. So I know I've seen people monetize passions of all kinds, but there was just something so inspiring to me watching what you had done in terms of like, this is a small community. There's not 100+ people that are making this their full-time income. So yeah, so I want you to know how much I pulled inspiration from you, especially in the early days, but even now, because you really are like, I mean, we're going to talk about sort of the evolution of your business and all the different things that you have done with it and are continuing to build. But let's go back even further than that. I want to know, like, what had you get into mandalas and rocks, even to start with?
No. Yes. So I actually started painting around the time of the pandemic. So I had been working in real estate. Before that, I was a waitress. A lot of people don't know this. I used to work in nightlife in Atlanta, Georgia. So I was a waitress there. And then I moved to Park City, Utah, where I was also a waitress. It's just a very high stress job. I tend to be more introverted. So having to be so social all the time and around so many people, it really was just so draining. And then I transitioned to real estate and I managed a real estate brokerage in Utah. Again, it just wasn't a good fit of a job for me. Again, being more introverted, I had to talk to people all day, every day, doing contracts. It was very stressful. So I was just getting to a point in my life where I was feeling very burnt out. I knew that real estate wasn't a passion, and I was like desperately seeking that passion and also creativity. This was also around the time that I got sober. I do talk a little bit about my sobriety journey on my social medias. I think it's important to be authentic, transparent. That is like a huge part of my life
Yeah.
and also a huge part of my mandala journey. So it was the pandemic. I was newly sober, going through a lot of transitions, looking for that creativity. So I was looking on Pinterest. I needed to keep myself busy, especially being newly sober. I had so much time on my hands and I wanted to stay dedicated to my sobriety. So I knew I needed something to keep me busy. So I was really just looking on Pinterest, looking at hobbies, just random things that people were doing. And I came across this mandala painted rock. And I remember it. It was the first mandala that I actually tried to paint and recreate. It was a blue mandala rock. And I just fell in love. So right then I ordered all the supplies. As soon as I got them, I painted my first rock. I've shared pictures of my first rock. It's not pretty.
I've seen it.
I didn't know anything at the time. I mean, there were some YouTube videos and stuff, but there weren't a ton of learning resources. So,
Yeah.
what I didn't know painting my very first rock was that my paint was way too thick. I think it was even an outdoor paint. Those can be like really thick. I had no ideas about mediums or thinning paint or anything. So, the first one I painted was actually really difficult. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, I just ordered all these supplies and now I don't know what to do with them. This was way harder than I thought. Luckily, I didn't give up. I'm so glad I didn't give up. all I needed to do was thin my paint down a little bit, and then my next ones were significantly better. But yeah, I was really just searching for a creative outlet. I knew that I had always kind of been attracted to mandalas, not necessarily in the way that we do it in this art form, but just in general. It's kind of like a spiritual meditative symbol. I've always kind of been into yoga, meditation, mindfulness. So I've always seen them and was kind of drawn to them. But I actually getting into it didn't realize how extremely healing that they would be. Even when it comes to meditating, I'm very kind of ADD, just very hard for me to focus on things for long periods of time, which surprises people when they hear that, when they know what I do. Um, so sitting and meditating is just really hard. Like I just have a hard time getting into it. So painting mandalas for everyone that does it, whether you realize it or not, is a form of meditation. And when I started doing it, I swear it just like can repattern your brain
Mhm.
and just get you into that meditative flow state, whether you realize it or not. And so, yeah, it's really been such a healing tool for me. Getting sober, it was a brand new world to me. I was getting to know myself as a pretty much brand new person. So I feel like mandalas have just really taught me a lot about myself
Yeah.
and really just been a huge, huge tool in my healing journey.
I think it's like meditation. It's something that has you really just be with yourself for very long periods of time. And for me, like, cause like I meditate a little bit, but it's the same thing. I'm like, I feel this like urge to like check my phone or like, oh, I should Google that. And I'll like things like that. When it comes to Mandalas, there is something that is very compelling about it for people because the same story that you have where you came across this rock with a Mandela painted on it is the same for me. I saw it was actually a video by Danny Muller,
Mhm.
who's another artist in the community, and it was just like this. We have to go to the art store right now. Like I need to go and buy the whatever I need to do that. And same thing as you. Like my first one is like, I mean, I'm actually so grateful that I kept it and took pictures and stuff because of how bad it was. It's like good to remind people of where it's like everyone starts somewhere. What do you think it is about Mandalas that have that like magnetism to them? Because whether someone's just following you to watch or they're following you because they want to learn or they are learning, like there's something about it that like this art form seems to go viral in a way that I don't think is that common.
Yeah, I think there's something magical to it, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
me
Like
too.
something that we probably don't understand. I know that mandalas are seen in all cultures, and I think
Yeah,
that's for a reason.
yeah.
I think there's just something on a soul level that resonates with people. And
I
also, they're beautiful. So you look at them, all the different colors that can be put together, all the different patterns. Everything's very flowy. So the patterns flow one into the next. And then when it comes to like videos on social media, you and I both create content around painting, and a lot of it is like the flowy brush strokes and just like really that flow, I think just draws people in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was going to say for me, it's something very spiritual. Like,
Well,
and there's a
yes.
reason, like, if you do research into the history of the Mandela, it was something that has been used in a lot of different spiritual and religious, you know, like, uh, I don't know what you want to say, but circles or communities, all throughout the world. And I do feel like it's something that like wants to come through people for whatever reason. It's a very
Mhm.
spiritual thing. I mean, they're meditative in nature just to look at, right?
Yes.
Um, so for you, you got into dot painting because you wanted something to help you along with your sobriety journey. Was it clear to you at the very beginning that it was something you wanted to turn into a business, or did that kind of come later?
I think I kind of had that little intention from the beginning. I've been thinking a lot about like entrepreneurship lately because obviously that's the path that I've decided to take, and I didn't necessarily expect it to turn into what it did. So I was asking myself, like, it kind of seemed like the entrepreneurship came out of nowhere for me. But kind of looking back at my history when I was younger, I remembered there was a point where I was just like really, it was before YouTube was big. There was no real big YouTubers yet, but I was really into hair and makeup, and I really wanted to be a makeup artist. That was like a form of creativity for me. And I remember, I think I was in high school, I created a whole web page of my makeup, and I was going to offer services and do all these things. And this guy that I was dating at the time just totally like was not on. He just
Yeah.
put me down. He's like, "This is stupid. Why would you do this?" And unfortunately, I didn't have the confidence back then to be like, "No, this is a great idea." And
Yeah.
I think about it because I wanted to start a YouTube channel doing makeup. And then makeup artists on YouTube just absolutely blew up. They have millions of subscribers now. And there's that part of me that's like, if I would have had the confidence and just gone for it, like it probably could have been something big. So I definitely had that entrepreneur mindset even back then, even if it was smaller than it is today.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I got into it, again, I was super burnt out at my day job, just working 9 to 5, doing something I wasn't passionate about. So I did need a hobby, but in my head, there was still also the maybe I can make this my side hustle. Maybe I can make a little more extra income to have more savings or be able to travel or do whatever it is that I want to do. So I think in the back of my mind, I definitely wanted to turn it into some type of business. I just had no idea that it was gonna turn into what it did.
Yeah. Well, so the next thing I want to ask you, because I came from the coaching world and course creation world for like 5, 6 years. That's what I was doing. And there is literally millions of, podcast episodes and YouTube videos and courses and um, like written books, like everything, right? And a lot of them will outline for you, if you want, exactly the actions to take to grow that kind of business. And that's pretty typical, like even real estate, like there's a pretty sort of like set path that people generally take to grow a business. Of course, there's always innovation and things like that. But when it comes to building a Mandala business, there is no like, I mean, now there's a few more people that are doing it full time, and of course they share what that looks like. But even a few years ago, there was no like, if you want to do this full time, here's what you should do. So I still feel like you're, doing things that haven't been done before within this art form and like niche. You just did your first retreat, for example. How do you make the decisions in terms of what is coming next in your business? Because you've done a membership and courses and now like products and brushes and your retreats. Like it seems like you have a pretty good idea of where you want to go. And that's not easy when there isn't someone that has gone really before you and has had it work to give you the evidence that it can work for you too.
Yes. So I have no business background, no schooling. Um, Honestly, didn't do very well in school. I was more of an athlete most of my life. I had scholarships lined up for colleges, but unfortunately, I just couldn't get my grades to where they needed to be. So I just want to emphasize that to people because a lot of people think that you need to have a degree in business or marketing or whatever it may be. I honestly have none of those things.
Yeah.
I did have some experience learning more marketing in my previous job at the real estate brokerage. So I feel like that did kind of plant that seed for me and give me a little bit of the knowledge I needed moving into my mandala business. But if I'm being honest, a lot of the things I do is just trial and error. I mean, I learn things by doing. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they totally flop, and like you just have to be okay saying, "All right, I learned my lesson on that one. Now let's try to make it better moving forward." But that's literally how I've built my business. I see where there are holes or maybe lack in our community, and those are the spots that I'm trying to fill. So like for example, my tools, I never thought I was going to make paintbrushes or tools. Like that was never on my radar. That was from the beginning not like a goal of mine at all. It just kind of happened. And the reason it happened was brush strokes when I first started weren't very popular. Not a lot of people were using brushes in their mandala painting. And when I tried using a brush for the first time, I just absolutely fell in love. But then it came to finding the right brush. What is the right brush? So I was experimenting with all these different brushes and finally found a handful of brushes that I liked. I had a little bit of a following at that point. So I tried reaching out to the brush companies to see if we could partner in some way because people were always asking me, like, what brushes are you using? Where can I buy them? And I just saw an opportunity there to partner with one of the companies that I'm already using. But unfortunately, never heard back. I
Mm,
tried for a long time. So in my head, I'm like, well, why am I reaching out to these companies, begging for them to work with me if they don't see the value in it? I'm like, I should just create my own brushes. People are asking all the time. And the brushes I was using, I mean, I saw where they could be improved to be specific for the type of artwork that we do. So
yeah.
to me, it just made sense to organically go in that direction. Same with the teaching. When I started, I didn't think I was going to be a teacher. I was just doing artwork and selling my artwork for a while before I even got into teaching. And that is just something that happened organically. The more people were asking questions and I noticed that people were wanting to learn, I'm like, there is a need here. I can be teaching people on a larger scale if I want to. So I kind of like dipped my toes just to see if I liked it. I started on YouTube, just doing free videos on YouTube. I did that for probably over a year, just putting out free tutorials on YouTube. And as it started to grow, I realized that if this is going to be my full time business, I also need to be paid for the work that I'm doing. So I decided to try Patreon. And actually, before that, it was an Instagram subscription.
I was one of your subscribers,
Yes,
like
I
early
got
on.
Yes, I got people on board for that, and then I realized, okay, this is not the best platform for what I want to do, so then I tried something else, and that's a good example of, like, just try it. If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, move on to something else. I tried that, learned it didn't work, moved on to Patreon. Patreon works a lot better. So it's really just, like, trying things, seeing what works, and then Patreon, I mean, we've just built this amazing community. I do live classes every Saturday, and I've been doing that for a year. A lot of people that come to the lives tell me they don't even care what we paint. They just want to be there. They want to be a part of the community. They want to talk to other people. And it's just become like our Saturday morning ritual. So that has created community. So that organically shifted over into retreats. People were starting to want to take the online relationships and then take them to in person. So to me, it just kind of made sense to go that way. So
Mhm.
I've never really had like a clear direction or a roadmap that I'm following. You are very organized. Like, I look at your page and your website and everything is just so, like, well orchestrated and, like, put together. For me, my brain just I don't know, it doesn't work that way. So for me, I never really had that clear roadmap, but fortunately, everything just kind of worked out organically.
And, like I the organization as you call it, which is funny because I don't feel organized like at all. Like I feel like everything's just all over the place. But it's never been that's just a product of my last business. Like I helped people build sales pages and I'm good at like the integrations and some of the tech stuff, even though it's not my favorite thing. I just like had to learn it. And so I know all of that. But to me, none of that is nearly as important as like what you're calling the organic nature of it or like the flow essentially, because I'll always say to people, if you are spending too much time trying to figure out what this is supposed to look like, you're in the wrong energy about it. You're in figuring out mode, and figuring out comes from a space of scarcity and lack about like, I want to be over here with this business or this course or whatever, but I'm not, I'm over here. So how do I figure it out? And the reality is like, you can never figure all of it out looking forward. It has to be looking back. And so even though it might look like I'm very measured about everything that I do, it's sort of like that comes after me creating a whole lot of space to allow for what wants to come through, where it's like, okay, this is the next course and this is the next piece. And the great thing is that painting mandalas creates that space. But unless I feel really sure about something, I don't move forward with it. And I will sit on an idea for like a year until it feels like, yes, this is like I'm inspired to do this next. And I think that's what you're describing is like there's an inspiration you're following where you're just kind of naturally being shown where there is a need in the community and then following through with what feels good in order to fill it.
So a lot of the conversation that I have with people around mandala painting, a lot of it tends to be around the flow. So I wouldn't say that I was very like artistic before. I was in different ways, like I said, makeup, hair. I love to cook. I feel like those are all ways of expressing yourself. But as far as like other art forms, I never really had that before. But I would assume any other art form as an artist, you're trying to get into that flow. I think that's a big part of art just in general. So when you're painting, if there's like say there's something's not perfect and you kind of get into this resistance, there's like resistance and there's flow. So if you're in a painting and you're feeling a lot of that resistance, instead of taking a break, you keep like pushing forward and you're forcing it, it's not going to end up good. It's because you don't have that flow. So when you're painting, like if I ever get stuck or something's not right, I literally just have to take a break, maybe for an hour or two, or maybe for a couple days or a week, like just however long it takes for me to like be able to get back into that flow state. So I feel like it's the same with my business. Like a lot of a lot of my decisions are based on the flow. A lot of it is intuition and gut feeling. Like working in real estate, it was so just not intuitive. I don't know if you like, it makes me think of like the masculine and feminine. When I was in real estate, I was definitely more in my masculine, just like that go, go, go. So transitioning over into being a full-time artist, I've really learned to like be more in my feminine, cultivate more of my intuition. So when I do make business decisions, like you said, a lot of it comes from like, is it flowing? Does this feel good? Does my gut think this is good? Intuition, like all of those things. So I feel like that's a big part of how I make decisions in my business.
Yeah, well, that's actually a great metaphor. And like coming from the business world, one of the things that so many women especially struggle with, there's this huge rise in successful female entrepreneurs, and it's because we are more inherently in touch with our feminine, which is intuition. It's feeling things out. It's leading with passion and inspiration. To me, there's also a real spiritual side to it, where it's sort of like when you're setting these intentions, like the universe answers. It's just whether or not you can hear. But one of the biggest things that people struggle with is we're so programmed for the masculine when it
Yeah.
comes to business and work, where it's like, this is strategy, this is measured making moves, this is figuring out, having a business plan, and it doesn't work for like 95% of people, and it keeps them closed off from those intuitive hits coming in that's like literally guiding them forward. I've had so many stories in business where I was like pushing, nothing's happening, and finally I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen, I'm going to receive, and then some idea drops in and I like things explode overnight. That has happened to me more times than I can count, but it's exactly what you're describing. Do you feel like because your business is a passion business that you were able to access that? It's like, this is how I feel about mandalas, is that there's so much joy leading the way that I'm unwilling to do anything that doesn't align with that.
Yes. I will say though, like coming out of that more masculine real estate business into my art business, it actually took me a lot of work. I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn to do things a different way. I was just still in my business, like, especially in the early days, just go, 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 working more than I did in real estate. And actually just in like the past year, I got to a point where I realized like I got out of real estate because I wanted to be my own boss so that I can make my own schedule and incorporate things like if I want to do yoga in the middle of the day. But I wasn't doing those things. I was putting them off because I was now working all the time.
Yeah.
So it really, I've had to do a lot of like interpersonal work of letting go of kind of that like masculine driver energy and learning to cultivate my intuition. So like it didn't really like it did actually take me a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
But now I do feel like I'm getting to a point where I am taking more time for myself. I'm structuring my business in a way that I don't have to be working all the time. Like we don't have kids yet, but my husband and I definitely want to have kids. So
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, where is my time best spent? And how can I build my business in a way where I don't have to be painting all the time to make money? I hate the idea of only painting to make your full-time income because I feel like that can take the passion out of it, which I absolutely do not want. I want to always love doing this. And so, yeah, I think the online courses and like those other revenue streams have allowed me to be able to paint when I'm feeling inspired instead of like only to make an income.
I know exactly what you mean because I've often felt like this is sort of two businesses. It's painting and then it's everything else. Like it's way more time consuming than my last business. And luckily, it's so much fun. But what you're speaking to when you said that you had to do a lot of work to operate more in that feminine space, this is the part that people don't see because it I've seen so many people that want to be a full-time entrepreneur so badly and then it happens and they freak out because it's scary. Like what you're describing, being more in your feminine, it's cultivating trust and releasing control because the masculine controls. It's like more action, more putting it out there, more marketing, more emails, more all of these things so that I can try. Yeah, I know. And it's so the world that we are like programmed to live in. And so letting
Yes.
go of that is so much harder. You have to meet parts of yourselves that you didn't even know you had in order to like there's a level of and I want to hear what how you relate to this. There's a level of cultivating safety within yourself to lean back and let it be enough. Like trust. It's really about having faith, and faith is not an easy thing.
I I I've had to tried to have this conversation with people, and a lot of people just don't understand that aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's trust, it's faith, it's surrender. Surrender has been such a big obstacle for me, but also like my biggest blessing of like, I can't control the situation right now. I have to surrender to it. That, I mean, if you're used to being a control freak and all those things, like I was, having faith and surrendering is like one of the hardest things. But I honestly, I've gone to therapy every week for like probably 7 or 8 months now, which is like the longest amount of time that I've ever gone to therapy. And like the reason that I decided to do that, I mean, like you said, being an entrepreneur, a lot of things come up, a lot of new feelings, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. Sometimes I doubt myself or I don't feel like I'm capable. So, like when these feelings come up, sometimes they're new to me and I don't know how to deal with them or how to process. And so, going to therapy for me has been huge to just like talk through these things and learn how I can do things better. But yeah, a lot of it is that faith that it's going to work out. And um, honestly, a lot of the faith comes from also that flow of just and your intuition of just trusting the process, trusting that it's going to work out in your favor. And honestly, like when I come and operate from that place of like flow and trust, I feel like that's when things work out the best for me.
Yep. Oh, every time because I spent a long time in my last business and it's still a passion of mine understanding what I called success energetics, which was like the energy you need to operate in to become a match to receiving what it is that you want. If you're like, I want this, it's not working, I don't know how to make it work, nobody watches my stuff on Instagram, I can't grow, this is impossible. You are not a match. It doesn't matter what action you take. You are not a match to receiving diddly squat. And this is where people get so
So glad
frustrated.
you said that.
Oh my God. I like, my business was literally the Aligned Entrepreneur. That was my brand. And it was all about like everything that you're describing, really. And this is, again, like, I think I'm so grateful that like this is my work, and I'm sure you feel the same. Like it's just every day is like a pinch me moment, but it is not what it looks like on Instagram. You have to be so willing to sit in your shit. Excuse my language. You have to be so willing to do this work that we're talking about, like as much, if not more, as you are painting. Because it's really easy to like look at, you know, the lifestyle of someone who's running an art business and be like, that looks so great. Like she just gets to go to yoga during the day. And like, yes, but it's not, it's like, I don't know. Like, what would you say to someone that maybe is idealizing? And this is not to turn anybody off. It's to encourage those that are on this path to not be surprised when it gets hard and scary.
It gets hard and scary a lot.
A lot.
And I think like you said, I think social media can give unrealistic expectations. I can't tell you the amount of times people reach out to me and they're like, I posted this reel and it's not doing well and I don't know why. And it's like, you don't just post a reel. I mean, sometimes you can post a reel and it goes viral. Very rarely. Like you
Yeah.
have to be very dedicated. You have to be very consistent. You have to constantly be showing up, doing your best. Like it's very hard. And I think people come up against one roadblock and want to give up. But it's like the last 4.5 years I've been doing this, it's been roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. Like it's not just easy. And you really have to like keep pushing forward. If something's not working, you have to innovate and try something new and test this thing. And if it doesn't work, try something new. And it's like, I think social media does unfortunately give people unrealistic expectations of what it means to be an entrepreneur and business owner.
It really does. And I wouldn't personally choose it to be any other way. Like I can't imagine, but like it's a lot. Like I watch, you know, my boyfriend has like a 9 to 5, and when he's not working, he's not working. Like, he doesn't even think about it. I never stop thinking, and it's been this way for 10 years amongst different businesses of mine. Um, and then there's this whole other side to it too, that putting yourself out there, especially your art, is so vulnerable, because if you have a reel, let's say, that doesn't take off, or it gets way fewer likes than it, like it's going to bring up in you the stuff that like for me, for the longest time, it was rejection. Like the amount of work I have done on what I call my rejection wound is like significant. And it's right. And it's, we all have something like that. We all have rejection, abandonment, not good enough. It's all just different versions of not good enough. But when you start, this is what I think has people give up, is they put a reel out or a post, and when it doesn't take off, they have to sit with everything that it brought up. And then they're like, well, if I'm going to put this out there and I'm not going to get validation for it, then I don't like this. It doesn't feel good.
Yes. No, exactly. And honestly, that's like one of the main things that I have to work through in therapy is like we're creating art, we're putting our heart and soul into something, and we're putting it on the internet for thousands of people to see. And I can read 100 positive, nice comments, but if there's one negative, I
Yeah.
will I will stew on it, and I just take it on, and I'm like, "Is what they're saying true?" Like, and then the thoughts of, like, "Am I not good enough?" And it's, like, all these things that are actually, like, childhood wounds that have
Yeah.
nothing to do with my artwork or anything. So I think a lot of people don't realize, like, entrepreneurship, even just art in general, like a lot of things do come to the surface, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. If that makes you uncomfortable, it's going to be really hard to like push to that next level. The amount of personal growth that has happened to me since starting my business is crazy. But I've also been so open and willing to do really hard work, stuff that is so uncomfortable. But I've been so willing to do it because I feel like, especially what we do, it's so personal and vulnerable. Art in general is, and I want to be able to continue it moving forward, and I don't want those uncomfortable feelings that might come up to hold me back or scare me off from continuing to push forward.
You get kind of addicted to it because even though it's uncomfortable at the time, it it pays off. Like the more that you, because what happens is you stop holding yourself back so much. Like you become more powerful than your most self-deprecating thoughts. And that's not an easy thing to accomplish, but it is so, in my opinion, so worth it, because like you get to build a life that is way more in alignment with what it is that you actually want. But that's really what the work is. It's not a marketing strategy. It's not a viral real recipe. It's none of those things.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
wanna throw out this,
yeah.
like, little idea to you because 'cause I'm so curious to
Okay.
get your opinion. So, I grew up kinda, like, on my mom's side of the family, we call it woo-woo, which is,
Yeah.
like, very spiritual, a little bit new age. So, I've always grown up with that and, like, had kind of that mindset in the back of my head. But I feel like the secret key to, like, my business and my success has been gratitude
Hmm.
across the board, and I
Yeah.
don't it's hard for me to, like, verbalize why or how it works, but it just
I can
does,
tell you
and
why.
I try to tell my husband, I'm like, "I swear it feels like I'm a magician, like, if I
Yeah.
need something or want something, I just have so much gratitude for what I already have, and then all these other blessings come to me, and, like, literally my whole business has been if I'm having a bad day, I'm just like, "Okay, what can I be grateful for today?" Whether it's, like, something so small, but I feel like that gratitude is, like, the key to my success.
I could speak to this for hours and hours and hours, but it's really just about understanding that scientifically speaking, we are energetic beings. We are energetic fields, and we are communicating through our thoughts and specifically our emotions. And gratitude is a very powerful emotion with the energetic field that is everything around us. And we're attracting back to us. I mean, there's a few different ways you can look at it. I really believe in like the quantum physics slash spiritual side of it, which is like we are attracting back to us the energy that we're putting out into the world. There's a lot too, though. Like if you're in a grateful mind, you're going to be more perceptive to things in your environment that make you feel more grateful. You're just aligned with that. You know, when you see like a really angry person and it's like everywhere they go, they only see
Yeah.
other people that are like they're the ones that get stuck in traffic and honked at. And like I used to see this so much when I used to be a waitress as well. And when someone would come in and they were like, you could just tell they were a really negative person, it would change how I was towards
Mhm.
them because I was uncomfortable. Right. So, anyways, there is one thing that I will like, this is the hill I will die on when it comes to business. You do not create what you do, you create who you be. Or there's actually a quote by a specific man I used to always use, which is success is not about what you're doing, it's about who you're being as you do what you do. So in other words, when you are being gratitude, I mean, you attract who you be. Gratitude is abundance. Gratitude is noticing all the good. Gratitude is you're not in lack. You can't be in gratitude and be in lack. So a lot of business owners come at it, and this isn't just business related, relationships, like our bodies, health, everything. We're coming at it from a space of what we don't have, and we're
Yeah.
a match for that, right? And we can't really see opportunities beyond continuing to create not enough because we are not enough. So if you are gratitude in your business, you're seeing the abundance, the opportunities everywhere. But I also think it's just those people are magnetic. Like it's
Yep.
clear that what you're, and this to me is like social media, this is, it's not a strategy. It's like when you are in love with what you're doing and you're putting it out there, you're getting abundance back. When you're putting out a post and you're like, this needs to go viral, it's so much scarcity,
Yeah.
right? It's not an attractive energy. So does that make sense?
Totally. And if anybody takes anything away from this podcast, I want it to be that. I feel like it's just so, so important.
Yeah. Well, and I think when it comes to painting in particular and any kind of creative pastime that you're wanting to monetize, make it first and foremost about how much you love what you do.
Yes.
Like I
It's
make
it's
this,
especially on Instagram, like people can
they
they can
feel it.
tell when you're in love with something. They can feel that like passion and um authenticity. I feel like people nowadays are just craving authenticity because we see so much of the opposite on social media. So when they
Yeah.
come across your page and you're just working on your mandalas and like, oh, another thing I wanted to mention is like being your own cheerleader. Like I am literally my own biggest fan. Like I hype myself up for everything. And I just like, it's we're always looking for like that outside validation. And I think that situation I told you about when I wanted to do the makeup and I didn't get the validation, I didn't do it. Like now looking back on that, I'm like, I have to be my own biggest cheerleader, my own biggest fan. So yeah, I just wanted to say
Well,
that.
I mean, you're speaking like all of my biggest business philosophies that I've
Yeah.
like put into, oh my God, so many of my programs and stuff in the past because like I said, you're just getting a reflection of the energy you're putting out into the world. So if you're like, I'm not good enough, but hopefully the people on the internet think I am,
Mhm.
like you have to be the one that goes first. But also, if you can be that for yourself, then when you do put something out there that isn't received the way you were hoping, it's not the end of the world because you have like you've created that and you're like, oh, this didn't get the uptake I was hoping, but it's okay because I'm good enough for me. You
Yeah.
know,
And
like
do you love it? Do you love what you're putting out? Do you love that piece of art that you created? Like, I think that's
yeah,
really important is for us to love it ourselves and not be expecting validation from other people because other people might have a totally different taste or style. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
a lot of people like mandalas, but there are people out there who don't. And to me, I don't understand it.
Oh,
But that's
I got a comment the other day that was like, Mandalas have been ruined or something like sharing, like someone being like the historic Mandela and everything it stood for is being ruined. And it's like, that's just one person's take. Obviously, the 99% of these other people saying beautiful things don't think so. So I'm going to go with that.
but that's why we
But
can't take one comment and stew on it.
exactly. But isn't it funny that that's the one that I remember? Very
Exactly.
slow. Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Yeah. No, I mean, we could talk about this forever and ever, but I think that anyone wanting to do anything creative, if you have an Instagram account, no matter what your goals are, have your joy for what you're doing lead the way. Have that be more important than anything because then as long as you have joy, that's how I feel. It's like I can put things out there that don't get uptake, but I just return back to like, well, I'm going to keep doing this because it's really, really fun.
exactly. Yep.
And I think that you're so spot on with the authenticity thing. That was one of the reasons I wanted to do this was like, I think people are so starved for authenticity. And I wanted to create that conversation within the community. For people, I think one of the biggest things that has people hold themselves back, either from starting Mandalas in the first place, or maybe trying to monetize it in whatever way they want to, is the idea that if they didn't come from an art background, then it's not the path for them. But you didn't come like I can't speak to this because I was an art teacher. I came from a long history of making art, but I know that you didn't. And so I think that it would be really inspiring for people just to hear what are your thoughts on that? Did you ever come up against like imposter syndrome? Clearly it has not held you back.
I think in the beginning, I definitely had that imposter syndrome. It was it was a really interesting transition for me to start calling myself an artist. That
Mm,
was like one of the first like resistance that I came up against was like, am I an artist? Like I never was before. Like, am I now? And it was really hard for me in the beginning to like even call myself an artist. But I mean, what we do is art. And
yeah.
so, yeah, I definitely don't have any type of art background. I remember your video, the color theory, learning about the color wheel. Honestly, I knew nothing about the color wheel. Even now, I know very little about it, if I'm being honest. So I don't think that you necessarily have to have those skills. I do think they can be very helpful, especially if picking colors or stuff like that doesn't come natural to you, then that's a skill that is definitely worth learning. But yeah, even when it comes to like colors and all of that stuff, I feel like I've just really come from like, again, intuition, what
Mm.
feels good to me, what I personally like. And another thing is like, whether your style might be a little bit different or not for everybody, like you'll find your people eventually. And that's another reason why I feel like it's like just important to be authentic to yourself is like you'll find your tribe eventually at some point if you keep just being authentic to yourself and doing what you love. They will
I
come.
I completely agree. Someone that is holding themselves back because they don't believe, like, this is my biggest thing when it comes to art and beliefs is like, I think there are so many people that would find out that they're talented artists, but they don't, we're kind of taught how to think of ourselves in school. So I had a kindergarten teacher that called me her little artist because I like to color. And I honestly think that like became a part of my whole identity. But if you're someone who was like, you got a teacher that was like, oh, you suck at this, you belong in sports, then like that becomes your whole identity. And we live lives that are confined by who we think we are. And
Mhm.
so, what did it take for you to just kind of step out of that and be like, well, I was sporty, but maybe I can also be this, even though I have no reason to believe that?
Uh, I kind of also believe in the act as if. I
Hmm.
don't know if you're familiar
Yeah,
with
oh,
that.
yeah.
I feel like these are kind of like law of attraction type ideas, but act as if is kind of that. It's literally like if I want to be an artist, I'm going to act like an artist. And I think, especially with social media, I've seen so many people. Let's take like a fitness influencer. They want to post pictures of their gym workout or whatever, but they don't know if people they don't feel like they are that influencer yet. But I've seen it happen many times where they just act as if act you just do the steps that you need to get there and then you eventually become a fitness influencer. And for me it was like I don't it's that imposter syndrome of like I don't feel like an artist, but I want to be an artist. So I'm going to act like an artist. And then eventually you just become it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a whole like neurological reprogramming that happens too. We have something called neuroplasticity. Like you can change your entire brain with repetition if you want to. So if you're like, I'm gonna be, this is, people talk about being like Delulu, which I actually think is
No,
great. If
no,
you're like,
it works.
I'm gonna like put my flowy clothes on and like now I'm an artist. And if you do it for long enough, like your brain will be like, oh, okay, this is
You
who we are
become that.
now.
Yes, exactly. So that's honestly was like a big part of it for me is like,
Just do
yeah, I'm
it.
just gonna be it.
Yeah. I think that we all tend to play it a little too safe where we're like
Mhm.
just go for it. Nobody makes it out alive. That's like my I always come back to like
Delulu's a great like you just yeah, you do. Just like I said, hype yourself up. If you want
yeah,
to do something, just do it.
I
What's the worst
agree.
that can
What advice would you give to artists that are potentially wanting to make mandalas their part-time or full-time income, or maybe they already are making it part-time and they see a future where they get to expand on that? Because this is still a very like small niche. I personally believe there's nothing but opportunity coming our way. Like I think this art form is going to absolutely explode. It's like the next crochet.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
but
we're
yeah,
still, like, in the beginning of it, which I think people
yeah,
don't realize. Something that I always tell people, um, especially mandala artists, is sometimes so, like, I pick up my phone and get on Instagram. I follow a bunch of mandala artists. So that's what I see in my feed all day, every day. So we tend to believe that everybody knows about mandalas. This is oversaturated. Everyone's doing it. If I ask anybody in my real life that I
yeah,
know in real life, most people don't know what a mandala is, and if they do, they've never seen the type that we do. So, I feel like you do, like we're just in the beginning and there's still so much room for growth. For people that want to maybe get into the business side of it, I think my biggest piece of advice is to just do it. A lot of people want to get into the business, but they're scared to post on social media. So it's like that honestly, social media has been one of the biggest blessings
Yeah.
in my business. I know there's a lot of negatives about it, but there's also a lot of positives. I think
Yeah.
about before social media, people selling artwork only in galleries. Like, how many people are going to come into a gallery and see your artwork? Not that many. On social media, you can post it and it can be seen by thousands of people. Like, that to me,
Millions.
that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
millions. So my biggest advice is to just start. Like, start posting on social media. Some people, I don't know, they just feel embarrassed or they don't want to be salesy to friends and family maybe. So I'm like, just start a business page then. You don't have to only post to like your personal Facebook, Instagram. Maybe start a separate page so you don't have to worry about bothering people who don't want to see your artwork. That way, if you have a business page, anybody who's there already knows what you do. They can kind of expect what you're going to be posting. But also, don't be afraid to feel salesy. Something that people don't understand about marketing is you literally have to post something like 100
Oh
times
gosh.
for people to see it. So,
Yeah.
like, I have friends who are not into social media marketing anything. They assume that because I have a following, if I post something one time, everybody's gonna see it.
No,
That's not the case
not even close.
at all. So people feel like they're being spammy or salesy, and I'm like, "No,
Oh
you
gosh.
have to. You have to post, you have to sell yourself. Like, don't feel ashamed, especially if this is your business. People understand it's a business. You're selling something. Like,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to post. Um, and also another piece of advice is to like find um the selling platform that works best for you. So, like for me, I really like Instagram. That has worked well for me. I know a lot of people, especially like the some of my older students who maybe aren't so tech savvy. Some of them have like a really great outgoing personality, and they really love doing markets. And some people that works really, really well for them. Me, I tend to be more introverted. I like doing things online. It takes a lot of energy for me to like go meet people in person and like sell myself, sell my artwork in person. That would make me so nervous and I would hate it. So for me, markets haven't really been something that I'm interested in. So like depending on your personality, your strengths, weaknesses, what platforms you like to use, like I never got into TikTok, but some people explode on TikTok. It just wasn't for me. So I focused more of my energy on Instagram. So like just find like the selling avenue that's going to work best for you and your personality and your goals.
What I always talked to people about in my last business was building a business that was suited to them. And I think a lot of the time we think we have to be a certain person or a certain type of person and we have to do ads or we have to be on all these platforms. But in reality, what's going to work for you is what feels good. So, like, my boyfriend's very extroverted. He is always like, "Oh, yeah, you should do markets." And like you, I'm like, or I could sit at home and talk to nobody,
And my
watch
pajamas.
and
Yeah.
paint. Yeah, and people buy it. Like, that sounds like way more fun to me personally because I'm the exact same as you. And a lot of people would think that you can't be introverted and successful in business, and it's just not true. It just depends how you set up your business so that you're not constantly having to feel like you need to be somebody else in order for it to work.
That is exactly it. And that makes me think of like reels. So when I'm painting a piece, I don't really like to record myself. It just kind of like takes me out of that flow. So when it comes to recording reels, I've learned to record them in a way that works for me, where
Mhm.
it's like do a 10-second clip, turn it off for a while, do a
Yeah.
little clip, turn it off. So I'm not like recording the whole thing. So really, yeah, just figuring out like ways to make it work for you.
Mhm. I want to know what I know you have like a whole bunch of different things going on. I also think I saw that your retreat sold out.
Yes, it did.
Congrats. I'm sure
I'm
you've
so
got like a link though for the next one that you'll probably do what next fall or something.
next fall. So this last fall, we did the first retreat at my family's farm in Georgia, which actually was really amazing. So we might just use that as like a fall location because it's really pretty there. Um, and then the spring one might be just like travel to different places and try to make it a new location each time. But yeah, the Sedona one sold out really fast, which I'm so, so grateful for. But yeah, we'll definitely be planning another one in the fall.
And how else can people enter your Mandela world?
Yeah, so most information can be found on my website, which is really simple. It's just thoughtfuldots.com. The way that I kind of have things set up right now for people who are interested in getting into mandala painting, my YouTube is free content. So I try to gear that more towards beginners so that they're not having to pay money for courses that might be a little too advanced for them. So I give away most beginner content just for free on YouTube. So that's a great place for beginners to start. And then kind of the intermediate would be my Patreon, which is a monthly subscription. We paint live every Saturday on there. And those classes are stored in the library. So once you join, you literally get, I almost have 100 classes on there that people can join and get access to instantly for only $10 a month. I feel like that's such a good deal. So much value there. And then past that, so that would be like the intermediate. And then I have master classes, which are larger mandala paintings that are a little bit more advanced. Those are sold just like as a one-time deal on my Gumroad, but all of those can be found on my website, thoughtfuldots.com.
Okay, awesome. I will link everything down below for people in your Instagram and things like that. But just thank you so much, Demi. I love getting to talk to other people that, are sort of very in the same world and just really get what it actually is about, and being able to share that in a way that isn't just, a quick snippet on Instagram, which just shows so little. I think every time I've done an episode like this on a podcast, because I've had like multiple podcasts, where we just share the realness of it, those are always the ones that people need. Like they need to know that, it's not, I don't know. Other people are so much more relatable than I think Instagram makes it look.
Exactly. Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Maybe we'll have you again in the future because I love this. And yeah, thank you guys for watching or
Thanks.
listening or whatever. Bye, guys.